You're live. You might be live. Okay, I didn't expect to start doing this review so soon, but I wanted to clear the decks and get on to other things. And so people who might be interested in the previous video might still be interested in this video, but people who are interested in this style of boot might just want to see this video instead. So why hold myself up, right? Some of you will find both videos eventually or whatever. Okay, when we left off at last count, we had been wearing the field boot a little bit, and we got a little bit of, wear and tear, but I didn't want to wear off all the waxiness before I get any kind of rainy season. And so I stopped wearing them, not just for that reason, but also because I got those other heavy duty day boots and things in. So had to pull the old switcheroo, but we will compare this boot slightly with this other boot. Now, those of you who have tuned in for a while know that I do not cosplay, but have outfits that are Indiana Jones-esque, or if I, want to wear it as a costume or whatever. But I never had the correct Indiana Jones boot, so it's already been well established that the brass boot is the most similar to the true Indiana Jones boot without being the Indiana Jones boot. So I could have worn a slightly more Indiana Jones shirt or whatever, but I didn't buy this boot because I wanted it to look like an Indiana Jones boot. I mostly bought it because, like I said, this one isn't necessarily my go-to daily wear boot, and I was super disappointed with the Thursday Diplomat boot, or at least the sizing of it and the fit. So when the other pair that I did the video of technically yesterday now went on sale, if I bought over a certain amount, and I saw this one, and it was just like, okay, if I buy both of them, I'll get them both at a sale price, and that will make it worth my while. Okay, so I did not take it out of the carton yet, but I did open the carton for convenience. So this time I do have a true unboxing video, which again is not the norm. Usually I try everything on first just to make sure there's no awkward surprises. Or I can show my abject displeasure when I know I'm going to have to return a thing before I even lace them up, or in the case of cowboy boots, if they don't have any laces, before I even get them fully on my foot. So there's the top of the box. I don't really have a better way of doing these unboxings. Okay, but thank you for purchasing a pair of Grant Stone footwear. Now, last time, everything got super blurry when I did stuff like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you have any questions or comments, please send us a mail. It never gets old. We want to hear from you, underlined. I should mention that it's underlined every time. Then the other postcard with the guy wearing the Chrome XL ones that I returned. Okay, initial fit. Place your shoe/boot on carpet or shoe bag. After lacing, look for the widest part of your foot to settle in the widest area of the shoe. Extra room in front of the toes is expected. Footwear that shows signs of wear cannot be exchanged or refunded, which, again, half the time I can't get the thing on, so I don't have to worry about that too much. For any questions, please send us an email. We believe in the fundamentals of boot making, prioritizing fit and using proven components. And as I said before, I ended up swapping out this one and the other one and the other three or whatever, all for a wider width. I tried to go up a size, and that didn't really work in this boot, especially because then it was more of a banana and still too narrow. I did get quite a bit of toe or heel slip in this one to get the extra toe room, so I didn't necessarily like that, but it wasn't a big of an issue with the diesel models as it was with this one, although as I said again in the previous video, I only wore the diesel model like once or twice, or not very often, before the weather got hot and I stopped wearing boots altogether for 4 months or whatever it was. So yeah. So how these will fit, I don't know. I hope they will be fine. And like I said, I haven't tried them on yet. And in the previous pair, there was a pair of shoe trees that had scuffed up the insoles a little bit. We won't have that issue here because I only ordered one set of shoe trees. And so unless they slip me an extra pair to be nice or silly, we should have decent undamaged footbed. Oh, and yes, I had wondered in my brain, I had forgotten. And now we find out, yes, okay. These do not have a wedge sole, okay? So they're not still exactly the Diplomat, and they are not the same outsole, though, however, as the Alden Indie boots. They do have a commando sole. So that was also more appealing to me because, as I had mentioned when I talked about this boot in a previous video, it's very stiff. It's kind of necessary for the old-timey look, but for my usage, I don't know if I'd want to use this hiking. If I was hunting certain things like pheasant, where I'd be in South Dakota or someplace, I don't know, maybe it would be fine. But for California, this might be not as much traction as I would typically want. And so the MOC-TOE construction, also slightly different, a different look, a different vibe. Maybe an even more narrow toe box here. I'm not sure yet because I haven't tried them on. But so not the same boot, not the same thing. Still more of an outdoor boot, especially with the waxed flesh and things. Still a little bit more of a dressy boot, which just means I'm not going to try and do any actual work in them. Not that I'm going to wear this with a tuxedo or you could wear this with certain suits, though. I think the grain and everything looks okay for a casual suit look. I could definitely see the argument for this as office casual footwear compared to some other models and things. But then you still have this giant chunky outsole, which is totally geared more for hiking than urban use. So if you were going to use it for that reason, you might want to put the outsole that's more common on the diesel versions, I think. Anyway, so there's, once again, same as the last video, there's no nails in the heel, but there is stitching up in this recessed channel kind of thing going on. And otherwise, pretty much heavy-duty lugs, very military inspired, as opposed to the older military style with the cross hatching or whatever. We don't have all eyelets, though. We do still have 2 speed hooks, so a little less dressy there, a little less my preference, but everybody else seems to outvote me. Let's see if we can get past. They did include these. Oh, I'm sorry. This does have the laces that I will probably take out almost immediately. I don't think they hold the boot very well. I forgot to show the doohickey pack. So here we have yet another pair of the same laces that I called crummy in the last video or something, and we'll never ever use. And then the shoe tree with the bottle opener. I forgot to mention that it's a bottle opener in previous videos too, I think. So you're getting extra Easter eggs here, but again, with a 6-inch boot, I don't think you're using a shoe tree all that much. And the laces, not especially appealing. I'll have to use some other laces from another source, or maybe, I don't know if I'll put the same leather laces in this. I can't remember if these laces came with this specific boot or not. Maybe. I seem to have a couple pairs that are this length, which is nice because a lot of the ones that Thursday and some other companies send out are way too long, and I'm always afraid to cut them because I don't know where the stretch points are going to be and where it's going to break once I've made it shorter, because then they become too short, and then you're just out of a whole pair of laces. But anyway, okay, so we seem to have your typical Goodyear welt. We seem to have a better color matching scheme than the previous. Now, I was just watching, I guess Kudu is a leather that does not have pores or whatever, or breathe. I'm not entirely sure. But it's not typically a too thick of a leather, and it's not one that you have to do a lot of worrying about conditioning or anything. And then, so here's the tongue, and then the inside of the tongue flap this time is sueded instead of glove lined, but there is still a lining going on there. Still got that half sock liner deal going down. Like I said, this time I shouldn't feel any odd rough spots. No, there's still some odd rough spots. I don't know why. Maybe they tried to put the shoe tree in this one and failed and then changed their mind. I don't know what this thread is from. Mysterian. Okay. Again, I'm going to have to, I don't have that in here anymore. Put my foot in it. I'll use the little foam thingy. Trying to get an idea here. I'm not too worried that they'll be the wrong size. No, that might actually fit. Well, I don't want to say it's going to be more comfortable than the diesel because I might get more heel slip with this one, but it feels okay in the toes, and I can try and lace it, but these laces are junk, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Yeah, that feels pretty reasonable overall. It seems like, once again, I went true to size and then added the width. So I went to an E width, and the gamble paid off. That seems to be correct with this brand, at least for me. How much I can influence you or tell you or whatever, the, you know, your feet are different than mine. It might not work, okay? But I would say overall their boots run narrow, and that's a safe bet. There's a bit of a scuff at the top of this one, but nothing to get too excited about. I don't recall my other Kudu having the same exact texture. I think that one was more of a rough out or something. But basically, it's kind of one of those leathers where it's kind of a pain to scrape it or something and get all the hair off or whatever, and but not the exact same thing as kangaroo or whatever. I don't know. There's a little bit of a scuff on the top of that toe too, but overall that one looks fine. I know I don't scrutinize these as well on camera as maybe some people would like. There's a little bit of kind of missing dye around some of the edges where it's kind of rolled or whatever, but I don't think it's anything that's going to be too noticeable. And again, for a sale price, probably going to suit my needs just fine. And look similar to an indie boot, if again that's any motivating factor for other people out there. Since when I first watched the indie movie for the first 5 million times or whatever, I never noticed what kind of boots he was actually really wearing until I started watching YouTube videos and everybody pointing out that this was the wrong boot and that was the wrong boot and the Iron Ranger was the wrong boot and yada yada yada. So here on to boot number 2, Lefty. We'll call him Lefty for now, and we'll see. You're seeing more than I am because I haven't looked at it yet. I'm trying to get that shine off. Okay, so there's a dark spot there, but nothing too prominent. That's a scab or a scar. So you notice things like that right off the bat when you do enough boot videos, but it's not something that the average person will know or notice or worry about. And so we got the welt, we got the panels, we got the stitching, we got the eye hooks, the speedlets, and the lace thing. We got the matching tongue to the other. And I probably just keep these laces in them for a while until it becomes more necessary, but yeah, these are scraped up in the same spot as the other ones without shoe trees. So maybe they tried to put the shoe trees in these first and then move them to the other boot. Not really sure what happened there. I was going to try to get a flashlight and look down into the boot, and I tried to do it with that light, and it didn't really show me anything useful. But you can feel it with your hand. It might be stitching after all. Somewhere around here on the insole, there's some tack stitching or something, so maybe it's not the shoe tree that damaged it. But if you are going to use shoe trees, I was suggesting sanding part of the bottom so the edge would not be so squared off and sharp, in case that had something to do with it. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, you know, I like this darker brown color that is almost impossible to find in, you know, classy boots or dressy boots or exotic boots. Everybody seems to want to make them lighter so they show more patina or something. Whereas, no, I want dark boots. This is part of the reason I never bought these before either, is because they all seem to come in these weird tan colors and things. And I was going to buy a pair of, I forget if it was this brand or another brand in a different model, and they only had, I think it was the kangaroo maybe of this, and I said, no, I just don't want that shade of brown or whatever. I can't remember. That was almost a week ago already, and so it takes a while for this stuff to arrive. And so yeah, we have the texture and we have the outsole again with the name and the what do you call it? Tread, the stitching. There's kind of an awkward one there, but that's not the kind of thing that's really going to matter, because again, this by the time you wear through this, these stitches will be in a lot better shape than some of the other companies' boots that I've gotten. So that's, but again, not necessarily the outsole I would choose first for a dressy boot, but definitely one that I wanted more than another wedge sole boot, since I primarily, I think going forward, will continue to see wedge sole boots as more work boots than stylish boots, because that wedge turns white, or I mean, turns from white and gets dirty pretty quickly, and then it doesn't look very dressy. So yeah, anything else that we missed? I don't know. Like I said, I can show it next to this one some more if that's necessary, but I don't really think that's necessary. I already did like 3 videos about this boot or something, and many people have already watched them. So that's just how it is. And although, you know, obviously new people will stumble on older videos as time goes by, and that will happen. And so, as usual, if you have any questions about these boots or some of the other boots and you can't remember which video it was or something, go ahead and leave those questions in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you in a timely and coherent manner. And yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up for this one. Like I said, when I get some more wear videos, hopefully sooner than later, but it'll be more unboxing videos probably soon, or something like an unboxing video. So stay tuned in the next week or so before the holiday, and we'll see how many we can cram in that people actually watch.